Hello and welcome to the Learning Reading Hub. On this channel we create content about learning to read, so you, as a parent or educator, are empowered with information and resources about this very important matter. If you have been looking into the topic of teaching your child to read or you're an educator, you may have heard of the term synthetic phonics. In this video I'm going to explain what synthetic phonics is. And if you find this approach something that you want to try, stay tuned until the very end of the video because I will also share with you some valuable resources that can help you get started. This system of teaching to read is used in some reading programs, and it is proven to be one of the most effective methods of teaching children to read. Unfortunately, it is not the way that reading instruction is normally taught at school, but that would actually be a topic for another video. Synthetic phonics, as I said, is a way of teaching and learning how to read. The first key skill that children learning to read with this method have to develop is identifying the individual sounds that form words. Being able to isolate those sounds, which is called segmenting, and also blend them together to actually form words. So, for instance, the word cat is formed by the individual sounds k, a, t. What I have just done is segment the word into its individual sounds, and when you blend them together or synthesize them, you get the word cat. So, first of all, children learning to read using the synthetic phonics approach are trained on this type of skill. While they are getting an awareness of the concept of sounds and how they blend together to form words and how you can isolate them and play with them to form new words, they are introduced to letter names and letter sounds at the same time. So this is very important, and on a synthetic phonics program, they would learn that the letter A makes the A sound and that the letter B makes the B sound, and so on and so forth. This way, when they are exposed to simple words such as dog or cat, they will be able to read them and decode them without problems. However, we must not forget that English is complicated and that we have 26 letters to represent 44 plus sounds. So there is a little bit of a problem here. So, in order to make up for those extra sounds, we use letter combination sounds, such as the combination of the letters C plus H, which normally represents the ch sound, like in chat. Once they have grasped the concept of individual sounds and children have learned the most common sounds that individual letters make, children are introduced to letter combination sounds. By the way, the order in which the individual letters and its sounds are taught is not always in alphabetical order. Each program has its own order. The order in which letter combination sounds are taught is again not always the same. Again, its synthetic phonics program has its own order and logic behind that order. Normally, this logic is that children are introduced to the most frequently used sounds first, so that way they are able to decode and read more words. Also, when learning letter combination sounds, some synthetic programs may choose to only teach the most common sound or sounds for the letter combination sound that they introduce first, or teach them all of them at the same time. For instance, when introducing the C plus H letter combination sound, that in 90% of cases makes the ch sound, one synthetic program could choose to only teach that specific sound that I have just mentioned, ch, while another program could explain at the same time that sound can also, that letter combination can also make the sh sound, like in chef or machine, or the k sound, like in school or schedule. One of the most important things to remember is that the books that children are exposed to will be in line with their level. Say they have been introduced to the most common individual sounds that single letters make, plus a few letter combination sounds. The texts and the books that children will be reading at that point will contain words that use that knowledge. If we introduce to advanced books, it can be overwhelming. Obviously, that doesn't mean that parents can't read more difficult books to their children. But, all in all, children, when they are doing independent reading, will be exposed to these more advanced books gradually and in a systematic way. It is not common to find a reading program that is 100% purely synthetic phonics based. Many times synthetic phonics programs will use a combination of methods, as there is an argument that English is full of irregularities and that some words just need to be memorized, full stop. Whereas it is true that English has many irregularities and that we find the same letters and the same letter combinations representing different sounds, it is also true that there are patterns, rules, tips and tricks that can help children decode these words without the need of using memory or guessing. This way, the number of sight words is limited to a bare minimum. For instance, with my daughter, it was a game changer when I taught her that when you have a word ending in E, the vowel E, you normally just drop the sound of the E, and that if you look at the word and you find the ending structure vowel consonant E, then you use the vowel sound E for the preceding vowel in its long form. Long form is basically the name of the letter. So that would work with many words. Time, date, make, mate, late, rake. These are just a few examples. With this little trick, she is now able to decode an enormous number of words that before were classified just as sight words. If you're considering teaching your child with synthetic phonics, I think it would be really useful for you to familiarize and have a chart of the 44 sounds of the English language, together with the different letters and or letter combinations in which these sounds are normally represented graphically. Therefore, I have left you a link on the video description where you can download this chart. A word of caution here. This is for you to have a reference. You don't want to introduce all of these to your child at the same time. You want to introduce the sounds gradually and in a logic way. If you are interested in this topic, I have left you some information about some resources that I have personally used to learn myself about these types of, let's call them tips and tricks. This is something you can find again on the video description. Only by knowing these yourself, you will be able to teach your child. I am also in the middle of creating a specific video lessons based on synthetic phonics. In the meantime, I have lots of videos talking about phonemic awareness, which is the foundational skill that I have mentioned at the very beginning of the video, in which you're able to isolate and play with the individual sounds that form words. Please let me know if there is something that you specifically would like me to talk about, and I will be very happy to assist creating new videos about those topics. To summarize, the two key pillars of synthetic phonics is segmenting and blending sounds. When learning to read using synthetic phonics, you always go from individual sounds to more complex sounds. Children are not encouraged to look at the word as a whole, guess by looking at pictures, or just look at the first letter of words and guess the rest. This is actually another reason why children learning to read with synthetic phonics tend to become better spellers. Thank you for watching. I hope you found value on this video, If that is the case, I would really appreciate if you could hit the like button, as that really helps the channel. And if you're interested in this type of content, don't forget to subscribe. We create weekly contents with information and resources for teaching children to read. Bye and see you on the next video.
If you found value on this video, please, we would really appreciate if you could give it a like. And if you like this type of content, consider subscribing to this channel and turning the notifications on by hitting on the bell icon. This way, you will be notified when we publish new videos.